What's up, guys? Welcome to Wednesday, week one, our third day. I sure am excited to be here. Still a learning curve for me, but I'm having a lot of fun making these for you. First thing I want to do is I want to kind of share some tough news for myself personally. Some students made note of my job hunt folder on my desktop. Like, Coach Hanson, what's that job hunt folder? Well, many of you know that I have been working from, or living in Denton and working in McKinney. That's a long drive. I was fortunate enough to find a position that's the same exact position in Denton. So I won't have to drive so much. I will be able to spend more time with my wife. And that's really important for myself and for my family. So I hate to say goodbye to you guys at the end of this quarter, but really looking forward to my next chapter and, not having to spend 2 hours in a car every day. So let's make the most of the last quarter that we have together and have a great time. So yesterday, our discussion question was, in your opinion, which plan, Lincoln's or the radical Republicans, was best for the country? Remember, Lincoln did not talk to Congress. He wanted forgiveness. Lincoln was someone who wanted to make sure that there was loyalty within the South and that the Union would be strong. The radical Republicans were like, no, that's not enough. We need more, Abraham. We need more. So they were the ones who wanted job equality, better opportunities. Back then, crazy radical. Historically thinking, and while explaining your reasoning, which one do you think was best for the country? Now, today's question, there's actually two, so make sure you do both of them. And while I have you here, make sure you follow the format. Video, questions, study. Video, questions, study. The end of the week, there's going to be a progress check. Ungraded, but there's going to be a progress check, and we're going to be able to find out how well you're doing this first week, given different circumstances. So, what could the government have done to make sure there was equality in the South following the Civil War? How big was the difference between sharecropping and slavery? So we're going to be talking about sharecropping. We're going to be talking about what the government tried to do with some different programs and with some different laws. And I'm going to slide this question all the way over here. Whoops. Because we're going to get back to it. First thing I have for you is I have for you a video. This video is going to be about 2 minutes long, and it looks like now my internet stopped working, which is great. Hold on one moment. Let me try something real quick because I don't want to have to do this again. Let me click here, Freedman's Bureau. Okay, cool. No, with the ads. Okay, here we go.
At the end of the Civil War, 4 million newly freed people wanted to put some founding principles into action. All men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As some gained freedom, others reacted defensively. In response, the U.S. government created the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, known as the Freedmen's Bureau. The Bureau acted as the conscience and common sense of the country, stepping between the hostile parties and saying to them, with irresistible authority, peace. Some veterans of the U.S. colored troops used their honorable military service to secure loans from the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company. This funding helped them buy land and start businesses. Freedmen's schools taught the essentials, conveying knowledge needed to make decisions. Bureau staff mediated between freed people and employers, negotiating contracts that specified work required, money earned, and protection afforded if employers reneged on the agreement. Small pieces of currency became symbols of independence for newly freed people, paid in cash for the first time. Support for serving freed people declined by 1870, and the U.S. Congress closed the Freedmen's Bureau in 1872. Bureau Director, Brigadier General Oliver Otis Howard, lamented that the Freedom Project had fallen short. I believe there are many battles yet to be fought in the interest of human rights. There are wrongs that must be righted, noble deeds that must be done. Such work can inspire those committed to opening the American experiment to all.
Okay, so the Freedmen's Bureau was this organization that was there to kind of like get the black community caught up on equality. Remember, from slavery to free men, the South is not ready to accept or acknowledge these human rights quite yet. Remember yesterday, the radical Republicans wanted them to have those rights that we, by today's standards, would be like, yeah, sounds like a pretty decent human right. The Freedmen's Bureau was there to help black Americans after they gained their freedom. Help them in any way or fashion they could. They helped by distributing food, army rations. Okay, they distributed food to those in need. They helped. They provided medical assistance from doctors and gave them opportunities to be seen in hospitals. They helped develop sanitary conditions at home. Sanitary conditions in home not being one of these. They were there to help them with employers and with contracts. It said this in the video. They wanted to make sure that they were protecting recently freed slaves and black Americans because a lot of them did not have the education background. A lot of them did not have the literacy to fully comprehend and understand what a contract is and why it's important to read every little piece of information. They helped them, so they made sure that they would be protected and that they would earn what they deserve for their work. They also made sure that they were protected in the courts. This is one of my favorite people of all time, Judge Judy. She's my homegirl. Go Chanson. Enough time. All right, you're almost done with your time. Hurry up, hurry up. They also made sure to give kids opportunity in schooling. Okay, they established hundreds of schools for African American children. This is a type of school we are not experiencing right now. Timmy! Timmy! And they one of the most noteworthy schools is Howard University, a historically black university in D.C. Thinking about that now, at the time, not a big deal. Back then, crazy, groundbreaking stuff was happening. So, the Freedmen's Bureau is there to help. Unfortunately, like it said at the end of the video, they wish they could do more for the interest of equality, but again, at the time, the rapid transition between slaves, the emancipation, freedom, and equality happening so close together, a lot of Southerners and Northerners for that fact, but primarily Southerners, were not ready for such a shift. So, what happened? Black codes happened. What are black codes? Read this with me. Black codes, sometimes called black laws, were laws governing the conduct of African Americans, free blacks. The best known of them were passed on 1865 and 1866 by Southern states after the American Civil War in order to here's the important part, in order to restrict African Americans' freedom and to compel them to work for lower wages. So the Freedmen's Bureau is kind of in response. They're kind of fighting each other. These black codes promote inequality, while the Freedmen's Bureau was trying to promote equality. The black codes included segregation. Okay, we know segregation by now is keeping our two groups of people, whites and blacks, separate. Separate on the bus, separate in the school, separate at the drinking fountain, separate in the restroom, keeping them separate. Black codes also encouraged poll taxes, which discouraged recently freed blacks from voting. Very kind of like off the cuff in the background, kind of like an example of racism, but an effective one because a lot of these recently freed slaves, what did they not have a lot of? Money. What could they not afford? Okay, sometimes they could not afford these taxes. There would be literacy tests. Read a book, Jenny. Read a book. There would be these literacy tests to make sure that black individuals could read. If they were not if they were not able to read because of their oppression historically before they gained their freedom, then they would be discredited, and they would be kind of, it's like their opinion didn't matter. They wouldn't be able to vote. They wouldn't be able to have their voice heard if they were not literate. And one of our final things that this did, the black codes gave people in the KKK a sense of comfort. So this happened a little bit later, but this is just an image of a bus bombing that took place because one of the first places to become integrated was buses, and the KKK did not like that. So you'd see an uptick in bus bombings to show their radical racism and inability to see equality for what it is. So the last thing we're going to talk about is sharecropping. All right, I have these two things here because let me try something. I'm going to do this on the fly. View, whoops. I want to zoom in. I want to see if you guys I can't get you guys a little closer. Maybe this is going to be better. Right here, sharecropping. What I want you guys to see about this is the connection I make, and I'm almost done, I promise, is I think of sharecropping like streaming. And I know that I gotta figure out why that keeps happening. I know our sharecroppers are not streamers, but I want to give you this example. YouTube, owned by Google, literally pays streamers. They pay streamers for their eyeballs on their channels. They pay them through ads and marketing. The streamers make a lot of money, at least the really popular ones. But who makes more money? YouTube. YouTube takes the big cut. The streamers get a little on the side. A sharecropper is someone who shares their land, shares their equipment, shares their ability to grow crops with others. You can have a plot of land over here, but I own it. You can have a plot of land over here, but I own it. You can have a plot of land over here, but I own it. You can all grow food, can all make enough money to survive, but ultimately a percentage comes to me, a percentage comes to me, a percentage comes to me, because I own the land. Okay? Google owns the platform YouTube. YouTube is the #1 streaming service. Okay? So, Google, sharecroppers, streamers, farmers. Ultimately, poor farmers would work for a very small percentage of the crops, and ideally you would want these recently freed black Americans to have their own land. Some did, but it was a very small percentage. Most, unfortunately, were kind of pushed back into this system of not slavery, but financial oppression likened to slavery. They worked for a white landowner. They were doing what they were before. The only difference now is they were getting paid a very small amount of money. So let's revisit this and wrap it up. What could the government have done to make sure there was equality in the South following the Civil War? And how big was the difference between sharecropping and slavery? Guys, it's been fun. Happy Hump Day. Again, let me know if you have any questions, 9 to 11 or 1 to 3. I should get back to you right away. Have a great day. Adios.